Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, race fans. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's race day for the International Sim Racing Series. You're here for round 6 of the summer season at the Red Bull Ring, located in the Styrian mountainside in Austria. Simple yet technical track is going to be certainly an issue for our GT3 drivers to negotiate today. Andreo already putting out a fairly decent time up in practice. Our latest race winner getting his first race win last time out at Brands Hatch. We are expecting a pretty close race today. Last time out in Great Britain was a pretty close field that day. In Austria, isn't that hard to be quick at if you're good enough in GT3s? But if you get it wrong, you can get it very wrong. And in Gran Turismo 7, the penalties are notorious for being pretty harsh about track limits here. As you can see, a couple new names in the lineup today. We have the new American Dumont and the Irishman Bob Swift joining us today, as well as the other familiar names. So let's see, we have Dokuno, Gabachoy, and Merrick. We also have one more who I don't believe is currently in yet. We're expected to have, I believe, 12 or 13 cars today. Regardless, let's take a look at our current championship standings for both the overall and silver as well as the teams championships. Give me 1 second. Overall in P1 we have Rocket Bunny 77 currently sitting at top of the pile after 5 rounds with 99 points. Then we have Molbanks or Andreo take the win last time out to keep his second place at 85 points. Then we have our Edmundo Kuno finishing out the top 3 of the championship with 67 points after missing out round 4. Del Tone was absent from last week's affairs. He sits currently P4 with 50 points. We have Aladdin Pratama sitting at 49 points. Intensivo sitting at 40 points, also missing out round 4. We have Shadowburst. It's currently sitting in P8 with 39 points. So we go to our first of our silver drivers. We have Rasta with 37 points. Azteca with 36. Quim missing out the last 3 rounds, only participating at Bathurst and Suzuka at 27 points. In P11, back to a couple of platinum drivers. We have Fabio, who only took the green flag at Monza and ended up winning that race at 25 points. Super Abe also just competing at Monza as well as Suzuka, 20 points, sitting in P12. We have Snake Plissken at 17, having missed the last 2 rounds. We have a uncategorized driver in P10. We have Mario at P15 with 7 points, Gabachoy with 5 points, and Crashman with 4 points, and that is your 17 driver championship. We have the 1 minute warning from our admin. We use that time to give a quick look at our silver standings. We have Rasta with 97 points, Azteca with 90, Quem with 50, Snake Plissken at 45, and TRT Mario with 20. 5 silver drivers competing in that class. Qualifying will get underway in just about 10 seconds time. Andrea with the fastest time in practice, breaking into the 129s with a 29.796. Second quickest is Dotone at a 131.005, 1.2 seconds off of our current P1 time. And so it seems Andrea is ready to dominate another race today. Qualifying should get underway any second now. Never mind. Session has a little bit of a delay. So we see someone stationary in the exit of turn 7. That car is back on track moving again. It was the Irishman in our first Nissan. In the Nissan GT3. Seems we also have another American, De Herrera. This looks like a pretty full grid. I'm excited to see how this goes. Let's take a quick look at some circuit information. Red Bull Ring. 4.3 kilometers, 10 corners. One of the shortest laps on the calendar. But still a very technically challenging track for our drivers today. This thing was built for F1 and MotoGP. So it's not exactly homologated for GT3 cars, but who cares about that? If our drivers can do it, our drivers can do it. If not, they're gonna get lapped. So, anyway, currently under a slight session delay. A little bit of some communications going on between admin and drivers, trying to figure out who is who. We have a session start time that's just under 2 minutes away. Ooh, big slide from Andreo out of turn 5. Or excuse me, turn 4. Qualifying session will start in about 40 seconds. Hopefully, if everything goes to plan. If you are a new spectator or he's gone. If you're a new spectator or just need a refresher about the rules of the International Sim Racing Series, service starts at 7:45 p.m. Central European Time. Drivers then have 15 minutes to join and conduct free practice before a 20-minute qualifying session sets the grid. Fastest time sets your position to start, obviously. Races run to approximately 180 kilometers, or whatever number of laps around a certain track gets us closest to that number. Drivers are obligated to make at least one pit stop to switch between the soft and the medium compound of tires. Should inclement weather come into play, that requirement is nullified, and drivers can choose to remain to stay on intermediate or wet tires for however long that weather lasts. Fuel is also necessary, so more than one stop is common. Qualifying session gets underway as soon as we hear that tone. There we go. We have a green light at the end of the pit lane. First car out is more than likely going to be Dokuno. And we join our Adamant in the number 111 car. This begins his first out lap. Car slowly trickling out of the pit lane on those red-walled soft tires. If anyone watching is interested in joining this series, it runs every Wednesday, as I've said, at 7:45 p.m. Central European Time. Or we also have an endurance series that runs 2-hour races every couple of Saturdays. We run with the new hypercars and GT3 multi-class racing. Of course, all grids are, well, the endurance grids are 16 cars, and our league grids on Wednesdays are 15 to include this broadcast that I can bring to you all. But if you are interested in joining, go to thesimgrid.com/international sim racing series. You can see all of the events that we host. If you want to get into it, it's a wonderful hobby to have. I made plenty of friends when I raced with him. Still making plenty of friends now. Dokuno starting his first flying lap down through Sector 1. It's a very easy Sector 1. It includes one corner. Well, technically two, since that little kink on the straight is considered turn 2, and that was turn 3. Deltona already with a time penalty for track limits. As I stated in practice at the beginning of the stream, those track limits are really strict around this circuit in Gran Turismo 7, so drivers will have to be wary about where they place their 4 tires, especially on the exits of turn 1, 9, and 10, as well as make sure that they are not cutting turn 8. Kuno down through into turn 7. Turn 8 now for the final 2 corners, making sure not to run too wide out of 9. Looks to keep it just tidy enough. Down through the final corner, we'll see our first banker lap. What is going to be the benchmark? Going to have a 131.3 by Dokuno. Deltona with his penalty. It's not going to count. You have Intensivo dropping to the top with a 131.055. Adam Rani going P2. Then Andreo breaking into the 29s already. Next car across the line is Bob Swift and Dumont. Dumont with a 34.9, Merrick with a 31.5. So after P5 we have a pretty big split. As we see Alden Pratama in with a 31.666, and then the LCSR car of G with a 30.7. We have Andrea, who reset to the pits already. Wanting to get one lap in. Maybe. As we see, there is a car around in turn 3. It is Alden. Very much glitching out. We have a little battle going on through the second sector between Dumont and Swift. Huge run for Dumont out of the final corner. We're going to be going side by side in qualifying as Dumont improves his time. Bob Swift getting blocked a little bit, and he's around out of turn 3, too much down on the throttle after becoming pretty much stationary under braking. It's a pretty busy track today. We have 11 cars on track currently out of the 12 in today's session. Deltone improving by a lot to jump up to P3 in front of Bernardi with a 30.480. Bernardi responding with an improvement himself, but not of position. See Merrick diving into pit lane already. It's a little bit early, as we're only about 7.5 minutes into this session. We'll typically see drivers pit about halfway through qualifying to take on a fresh set of tires and no fuel, be a little bit more grip and lighter. And be lighter. See another driver around out of turn 3, and Swift once again. Crashman having yet to set a time in his black and yellow Ferrari. Alden's struggling a bit in qualifying today. P8, very much out of position. So we have another battle, looks like, going on in the qualifying between the two Porsches. As Dumont goes wide, they're going to collide. They are going to collide in qualifying. G's going to get past Dumont, looking to the inside. Get a little bit of action before the race even starts for you guys. But G, obviously, I would say a championship contender, so he's going to have that pace to break away from Dumont's rather barbaric tactics as he cuts through the gravel a little bit. Looks like we have another one on our hands between Deltone and Bernardi. Of course, these two not unfamiliar with each other. Bernardi's going to back off and let Deltone run away a little bit. Andrea still sitting in the pit lane, very confident that his lap time is going to get him at least top 2, maybe even still keep a pole position. He's a 3/10 gap. He's the only one to currently be in the 1 minute 29s. as we see Intensivo in the other Ferrari catching up to Bernardi. Again, remember, this is qualifying. Anapertama finally finds his footing in this qualifying session. Sneaks just past Intensivo. And we're just about halfway through this qualifying session. Now we're seeing drivers starting to dive into the pit lane to take on fresh boots. You see the Ferrari pull into its pit stall, and that crew is going to go to work. Rolls out of the pit lane and some clear air as well, so his lap will be decently unimpeded. Intensivo very much sandwiched between two Indonesian racing drivers. Only has to improve by about half a tenth to propel himself up into P3, but also has a buffer that's about a quarter of that behind. Intensivo getting as much energy into those soft tires as he can before he starts his first push lap of this second qualifying stint. Coming down through the final sector, we're going to take a qualifying lap on board with Intensivo here in his Ferrari 296. Opening up turn 10, want to get a really good exit out of there. Pushing down full throttle down the pit straight as we start our lap. Getting over onto the curbing, making sure to keep all four tires in, opening up turn 1. Making sure to keep at least 2 tires in. As we run down the straight, coming through turn 2, which is this little left kink right here. Uphill braking zone for turn 3, hard on the brakes, making sure not to use too much of that ABS and go a little bit deep. Hitting that nice apex. Intensivo goes a little wide. Don't think it'll be much of an issue. 4 track limits. Running down the back straight here towards turn 4, downhill braking zone this time. Easy to miss the apex and run deep, as well as dip a tire into the gravel, which happens here. Not the cleanest of laps for the Austrian in his home race. You can hear the tires scrubbing as we go through turn 6, turn 7 here to finish out sector 2. Making sure not to cut the inside curbing for turn 8. Past the penalty line. You gotta open up turn 9. You gotta open up turn 10 as much as possible without going 4 wheels off the track. Almost cutting the apex of 10 down towards the line again. We'll see where that puts him. Did not improve. And with about 5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. About 5 minutes to go in this qualifying session, let's take a quick look-see through our current qualifying order. We have our provisional pole sitter in Andreo in a 129.778, set 1 lap, and we set to the pits pretty much confident that he will be on pole. And then have Dale Tone of Nexus Racing sitting in P2 with a 30.16. 6 thousandths back is G with a 130.166. We have Alden Pratama Making a nice little qualifying comeback with a 130.315 in P4. We have Intensivo, who we just rode on board with, at a 130.67. Then we have Adam Bernardi with a 30.408. Our admin Dokuno not having the greatest of qualifying sessions today, sitting at a 130.768. And then 10th back is Merrick with a 130.882. We go to the somewhat slower back markers, another second and a half back in Gabochoy. He was a replacement, but now it seems he has taken a full-time seat with a 32.455. We go into the 33s with Dumond with a 33.758. Half a second back is Crashman in his second of the two Ferraris. 34.296, and then rounding out the grid so far, we have Bob Swift with a 34.9. So that is how your current qualifying order shakes up with just under 3 minutes to go. It seems like we're going to have a pretty close battle when it comes to between 1st and 8th. Deltone is known for getting a lot of track limits penalties. He got plenty last time out at Brands Hatch. I believe it was about 4 or 5 track limits penalties. He was fighting Andreo all the way home though, as was Dokuno and G and Bernardi. It's a very close field in the International Sim Racing Series nowadays, which is very entertaining, and I'm glad I can broadcast it for you all. Whether you're watching live or the VOD after the fact, I'm glad to have you all here. So we have a huge pack currently together. The 3 bottom runners are battling in qualifying as the clock winds down to just about a minute left. It seems like this is a fight for position right now in the actual race. A lot of cars on the same part of track, running between 1 and 3. Whoa! Jamon almost into the back of the Ferrari. American going really deep into turn 3. Drivers should be getting the final lap message any moment now. As we see, Andreo is actually back on track. Got a little bit scared that he saw the gap was only about a tenth of a second now, as we see G has broken into the 129s. And that is the final lap message for our cars. Andrea, I believe, is still on his out lap. So he is not going to be able to put in another lap, and he'll have to hope that G doesn't improve, but G is in the pit lane. So you see Bernardi also has broken into the 129s, just barely. And that is his qualifying session done, as he has just taken the checkered flag. Andrea crosses the line. It will be next. It will be Merrick to cross the line next in his Mercedes. 3 Mercedes running today. Pretty good showing for the German manufacturer. As Merrick rounds the penultimate corner down into turn 10 to finish out the lap. We're going to have Dokuno on his final lap, about a second off of the provisional pole time. No improvement for the German or for the American. I believe that is all cars completed. Yes, it is. That is qualifying done. We'll wait for the 1 minute timer to expire, since there are still cars in the pit lane. 42 laps coming your way of the Red Bull Ring. No inclement weather, I believe. No. There you can see our current list of drivers participating today, and me. But don't worry about that. Big range of driving skills. That is your qualifying session ended. Checking for that, let's take a look at our grid for round 6 of the International Sim Racing Series summer season. Here at the Red Bull Ring, we have Andrea on pole in his Lexus RC at a 129.778. Then we have G, first of our Porsches, running today at a 29.937. Then we have Bernardi, first of the 3 Mercedes running today, 29.9. Going into the 1 minute 30s now, we have Dale Tone at a 130.160. Then we have Alden Pratama in his BMW M6 at a 130.220. Intensivo in his Ferrari at a 30.367. The 2 Mercedes rounding out the top 8 in the first page. Merrick ahead of Dokuno at a 130.572 and 130.768 respectively. Going on to page 2, we have the Frenchman Gabachoy in the Porsche 911 at a 132.455. Then we have Crashman in the second of the 2 Ferraris at a 133.741. We have the American Dumont in the last of the Porsches at a 133.758. And finishing up the grid in P12 is the Irishman Bob Swift in his Nissan GTR Nismo GT3 at a 34.927. So that is your grid. Race will start in about 4 minutes time. Go get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack. 42 laps of Austria coming your way in just a few minutes. And I promise you the race will still be here when you get back. We have the 1 minute warning from our host Okuno. 42 laps of the Red Bull Ring coming your way in just under 1 minute. Our 12 cars are fired up, ready to get rolling. We're going to have about an hour and a half. About an hour of wheel-to-wheel racing. It's looking to be a pretty close fight today. At least between the top 8s, and then we have our back markers. Also looks like they're going to be fighting just a little bit. Our cars are lined up on the grid, ready to get rolling. We have Andrea on pole, G alongside. Cars pull away. 2x2 formation down towards the start-finish line. We go racing at the Red Bull Ring. Now we're running down towards turn 1 with Andrea. Cars are going to slide into single file, snaking down towards the first corner. Heavy braking zone looks to be pretty clean so far. Deltone cutting a little bit of contact between Deltone and Alden Pratama out of the first corner. Everyone seems to be through pretty cleanly as we run down towards the back, through the back straight, excuse me. As we see Deltone holding the inside. Alden, a huge slide. He's still going to manage to get past Deltone. Excuse me, it was Adam. We're going side by side down to turn 4. Bernardi with a little bit more straight line speed in that VA-powered Mercedes. Deltone's going to have the inside line for turn 4. Bernardi later on the brakes manages to stick it around the outside. Armando Cuno sitting behind his fellow Mercedes, just waiting for a little mistake to come. As we see our top 2 already starting to break away a little bit as we finish out the second sector of our first lap here. As we see Andrea rounding the 10th and final corner of our first lap. 41 to go. Andrea's going to chop to the inside, try and break that slipstream and take a defensive line. It's going to be awkward trying to get through turn 1. They both cut back to the ideal racing line for the braking zone. Andrea with a little bit of a twitch out of turn 1. Been a pretty clean race so far. As we see Bob Swift already with that half-second time penalty for track limits. As we see Dokuno hit it with it as well as Merrick goes up the inside. Staying ahead of the German for now. You see Bob Swift and Alan Pratama. Alan Pratama somehow in the back of the field. I'm going to look up the inside, then make a little bit of contact. It's back through. Bob goes really wide. It's going to allow Alden to get back through. I'm not quite sure what happened to him. As you see Dokuno leading about a 3-car pack, but he's going to have that penalty. It's going to allow Merrick to get by for the time being. Is it going to allow the Ferrari of Intensivo to get through as well? It is. Dokuno with that track limits penalty. It's going to compromise him. He's back down 2 places to P7. He's running really wide again. Both Mercedes actually. The 3-way fight for P5 on lap 3. Intensivo looking up the inside into turn 1. Not the place you want to be doing that though. It's going to back out. Merrick's going to have the lead in this pack once again. That's going to allow Dokuna to get a run on Intensivo with that awkward line into turn 1. Dokuna's going to try it around the outside. Is he going to make it stick into turn 3? Not quite. Intensivo playing really good defense. Both of their lines are going to be compromised. That's going to allow Gabachoy to come into this battle as well. It's going to allow Merrick to run away a little bit. And you saw Gabachoy with that penalty. You see Andreo chasing down G. They're breaking away already. Almost 3 seconds your gap between second and third. G a little bit wide out of turn 6. As we see, Alden has got past Dumont as well. We have a recovery drive on our hands from Alden Pratama. I believe he started P8, if I'm not mistaken. We have Intensivo still trying to chase down Merrick. And he's going to be with that penalty for track limits. It's going to allow Dokuna to get back through in about a lap's time. If not earlier on pure pace alone. Dokuno tucked into the slipstream of that Ferrari, the Ferrari in the slipstream of the other Mercedes, down towards turn 3. Everyone's still as you were. Intensivo with a big slide out of turn 3. That's going to allow Dokuno to slip past. And that's going to be done and dusted for Intensivo. Still with that penalty banner looming over his head. All the drivers around him know he has that penalty. Merrick's starting to inch away from the German-driven Mercedes. Dokuno knows Intensivo has that penalty. Intensivo might get another one there for running wide out of turn 6. And he does. He gets a full second for that. He's going to serve that right now already. Long slowdown. That's going to bring him into the clutches of Gabachoy and Alden on his recovery drive. Gabachoy going to be under a lot of pressure from the much faster BMW behind. Is Alden going to look up the inside in turn 1? No, he's patient enough to stay back. He's going to use that slipstream on this long run down to turn 3. Straight line speed not the best on the BMW, it looks like. So you see Gian and Andrea going side by side for the lead into turn 5, or out of turn 5 into turn 6. G manages to get by for the time being, G manages to stay ahead. After taking the lead away from Andreo, Andreo cuts a huge chunk of the curbing through turn 7, or turn 8 rather. No penalty for that. Andreo knows these track limits, just like he did in Abu Dhabi a few races ago. He knows how to use the track, he knows how the game works. He's going to have a slipstream down towards turn 1 as they cross the line to start lap 6 of 42. Andreo's going to try it around the outside. Not quite. He's going to go for the switchback. G manages to keep just enough speed to keep that from happening. Andreo on the bumper of the Porsche. G keeping a center lane on the track, just trying to keep a defensive line. G runs really wide, dipping his left side into the gravel. Is that going to allow Andreo to have a little bit of a run down towards turn 6? Andreo's looking for it. It's not the easiest to pass in GT3s around here. Especially in the middle part of the track. Very tight, very technical. Andreo just having to sit back and watch as G just slightly makes a mistake, then manages to keep it in front still somehow. Andreo runs really wide, G cutting back to the inside of the track. Andreo's not going to use the slipstream, he's going to rely on the Lexus's straight line speed. G with the fastest first sector. I'm just saying the fastest lap on lap 2. This battling is allowing Adam Bernardi to slowly catch up. He's going to try and pick up the pace to make this a 3-way fight for the lead. G looks set to make another fastest lap, just trying to keep the position from Andreo. Andreo with a penalty is side by side, but it's going to be nullified. With that track limits penalty. G with a huge slide out of turn 1. That's going to allow Andreo to slip past. Now Andreo has to focus on running away with that half-second time penalty. He has to make sure to minimize the damage that's going to be caused when he crosses that penalty line. You see Dumont under attack finally by Alden Pratama. Pratama's going to look around the outside of turn 1. He's going to make it stick. Did go a little wide. But I think the game's going to be okay with it. And it is. Alden getting by on his way back up to the front. G is going to know Andreo has that penalty. He's going to see that he's going to slow down just as soon as he comes out of turn 8. Of course, the penalty is to slow down, and he has to regain that speed that's going to allow G to get by for the time being, more than likely. It is, but now G has the penalty. It's a huge game of yo-yo right now. Andreo trying to come back into turn 1. He just knows he has to stay as close as possible, so he can take full advantage of the penalty that G has. He's going to back out of turn 1. He's looking up the inside. Not the greatest of ideas, especially considering that G does have that penalty. Andreo tucked under the rear wing of that Porsche. They run down towards turn 4. Trying to look up the inside and make the line awkward for G. Andreo goes really wide through 5 again, as is Bernardi in the foreground. Is it going to be Andreo getting the penalty once again after getting by? G tucks to the inside, gonna take the penalty. Andrea slips back into the lead, and it doesn't look like he's gonna get a penalty for that wide moment out of 5. And that's Andrea reclaiming his lead after losing it on, I believe, lap 2. This battle still raging on 9 laps in. So we see Dokuno leading the way from Merrick and Intensivo. This battle still raging on. Dokuno back to the front of it somehow, actually. If you remember, Dokuno served that penalty a few laps ago. Dokuno just staying on his line. He's going to use as much pace as he can, try and break away from the 2 cars behind. But neither Merrick nor Intensivo are slouches either. Merrick, again, was reserve, has joined, I believe, in a full-time seat. He has raced in this series before, if I'm not mistaken, unless I'm confusing him with someone else. And Intensivo, a veteran of the series, racing since at least Season 2 when I was racing. Merrick starting to inch ever so closer to the German-driven Mercedes. Right on the bumper coming into turn 3 and out of it. This is the closest he's been for a while. Is Merrick going to have a look? He's trying to get the outside. He's going to open up turn 4 as much as he possibly can. Dokuno placing his car just perfectly to not give any sort of ground to the Czech-driven Mercedes. Andrea's still your leader from G as they're starting on lap 12 of 42. We'll come back to this fight shortly. I see a backmarker battle. So we have Crashman trying to get back past Bob Swift. Bob Swift with a penalty for track limits in that Nissan. And looks like that's going to be Crashman's way by with the penalty. He's going to have a look up the inside into turn 9. Make a little bit of contact. Trading pin a little bit into turn 9. It's going to be Crashman past the Nissan. And to rejoin this battle, Dokuno still ahead for the time being. See Deltone trying to get as close to Adam Bernardi as he can, while our leaders are still going at it. A lot of battles. Oh! Big bit of contact. That's going to get G past Andreo. They both go super wide. Oh! And G's around and into the wall. That's going to push him down to P4. Some might argue that's karma for that bit of contact into turn 9. And that's going to be our battle for the lead done and dusted for now. But you see, Bernardi is slowly catching. The gap is about half of what it was about 5 laps ago. You see this three-way battle for P5 still raging on. The softs, anyone on the soft tires are definitely going to start seeing a little bit of a loss of grip. Starting about now, you can expect them to pit probably in about 5 laps time. Anyone on the mediums will probably pit at or just past half distance. It's definitely going to be at least a 2-stop. There is a lot of laps today. See, Deltone had gotten past Bernardi, but he's going to have that penalty for track limits. Andrea once again looking in his mirrors, but he's not going to see the red, white, and black Porsche. He's going to see the Nexus Porsche, that silver martini livery for Nexus Racing. However, in his mirrors, he's also going to see the name tag of F. Bianchi with that half-second time penalty, which will be served out of turn 8. Bernardi is starting to fall back a little bit. This is going to allow Andrea a little bit of breathing room. It's going to allow Bernardi to get back in this fight for P2. Deltone goes really wide out of turn 9. Wonder if that's going to be another penalty for him. Bianchi with a big twitch. Bianchi with actually the firstest sector of the race so far. See if he can put that together. Get a purple lap. Deltone inching closer to the back of the Lexus. Deltone really playing with those track limits today. Deltone incredibly close as Andrea goes a bit wide at turn 10. We're going to be side by side down the pit straight as we cross the line. Deltone with the inside line. Is he going to be late enough on the brakes? Andrea cutting back over to open up the line through turn 1. And that's Deltone into the lead for the time being. Andrea's going to have a little bit of a better run due to Deltone's compromised line. Is it going to be enough to get past and reclaim the lead once again, though? I don't believe so. This is a long race. Andrea knows that. He's going to sit back, be patient. He knows Deltone isn't the best under pressure, as he's crashed out of the lead a couple of times, or maybe not. He's crashed out of the lead a couple of times in Bathurst and Suzuka, the first 2 rounds of the season. So he's going to wait for that mistake to come. The gap opening up 8/10 already in about a lap. Oh, big mistake from Andrea. Is he into the box? Andrea is going to be into the pit lane. That's going to be our first car. He's going to get off those softs. G also follows him in, so that's why they were really quick. They were both on the same strategy. As you see the Lexus pull into the pit box. Andrea going to take on a fresh set of boots and that racing fuel. The bolts on the mediums, as I believe G will be on as well. They both satisfied their pit stop requirement. Deltone now with almost a 3-second lead of the race. As we see Dokuno is broken away from Intensivo and Merrick. Now with the pit stop phase slowly rolling through. The field's gonna start spreading out just a little bit. Andrea and G hoping to get a really good undercut. But I think there's going to be too much of a tire offset for it to actually mean anything. Those mediums can still run for a few more laps. As we see Bernardi in from P2. Dokuno skips out the pit lane, more than likely on the medium tires. It's going to promote Dokuno up to P2. Now Deltone has a nice clean track in front of him to try and eke out his mediums as long as he possibly can, which he is no doubt on. As we see Bob off into the gravel, is going to rejoin. We see G and Bernardi are not going to be going at it. Race definitely starting to settle down now. G a little bit wide over the sausage curve out of turn 1. And there's that penalty. Yep. Oh yeah, definitely game time with that. As I believe we have our leader into the pit lane. And is not. Who is into the pit lane then? Oh, it's Crashman into the pit lane. As we have Dumont with the blue flags. He'll have to get out of the way of Intensivo. Dumont setting down his personal best sector 1 after diving into the pit lane. Try and delay those blue flags as long as possible. Dumont's gonna... Is he gonna go out of the way, or is he boxing? No, he just boxed, didn't he? He's off, he's letting Intensivo through, he's gonna have to let Merrick through as well. Brilliant stuff. You see the Nissan finally in, off those medium tires. Deltone running all by himself. And we have Bob Swift with that 3-second time penalty for cutting the pit lane exit or entrance, one of the two. He's going to be getting the blue flags now. He gets out of the way of the Bernardi Mercedes. Deltone passes up the pit lane as we approach half distance in this race. "21 laps to go." Lapped traffic now coming into play for most of our leaders. See, Allen had gotten past Dumont, but he has that penalty. It'll be a little bit longer before he's able to catch up to Merrick. No, Tone with the commanding lead of this race. Definitely turning around that narrative of him folding under pressure. Well, he's certainly under no pressure now. On then with another time penalty for track limits. Sticking to what I said with this track's strictness on track limits. You have to be pixel perfect in this on this track to not get track limits. As we saw in the 2023 Austrian Grand Prix in Formula 1. In real life. G is going to be happy to see that penalty marker. He is going to have to clear that lapped Ferrari. The Lexus flashing the lights. Andrea runs really wide out of turn 10. We'll see if he gets dinged for those track limits. Bernardi now has to get past Dumont as well. Dumont dives out of the way. Not quite. They make contact. Whoa, what a send! That's going to allow Bernardi to get through. It's rare when you see a lapped car fighting the car lapping it. Seems like the average American racer. Too much of an ego. I speak from experience, FYI. I'm kidding. Anyway, Andrea now attacking Pratama. Coming down towards the penalty line. They're both catching up to Merrick slowly. Drill all over the back of that BMW. They're going to be going side by side down the pit straight. Is Andrea going to be brave enough on the brakes? Looks like it, but his line's going to be compromised. Alden runs a little wide. He might get dinged for that. Andrea passed for the time being. He's going to have the inside line down towards turn 3. Side by side still. Andrea super late on the brakes into turn 3. Clean pass though. A lot of cars on the same bit of the track right now. Some lapped, some on the lead lap. We have this battle for 4th going on. As we are on lap 25, as we see Dokuno diving into the pit lane with 2% of fuel. He's going to get off those mediums, as does Intensivo, as does Alden. Dreo's now all but the back of Merrick, as they are both standing on the podium as of right now. Andreo passed with a very clean move into turn 1. Andreo slightly ahead as we go through the turn 2 kink. Andreo's going to have the inside. Merrick slightly later on the brakes. Andreo's even later. Andreo managing to get past and stay ahead for the time being as we run down towards turn 4. Merrick trying to open up for as much as he possibly can. Andrea with a little bit of a twitch on the exit. Deltone still yet to pit, now with a 35-second gap. Andreo setting the fastest sector 1 time. Let's see if he can put that together for the fastest lap. Not that it really means anything, except that you have the pace. Race starting to settle back down after I believe every car has dove into the pit lane and taken a fresh set of tires and fuel. As I say that, Deltone finally comes into pit lane for his stop. Let's see, you can see Andreo is coming through 5, 6, and 7 right now. And if I am not mistaken, I believe Deltone's still going to have the lead. If not, it's going to be very close. I'd prefer the latter. Then we have a lead for we have a battle for the lead back on our hands. Nexus Porsche into the pit stall. The Nexus crew is going to go to work. Tires on, that fuel going in. Andreo's rounding the final corner right now. I believe Deltone is still going to have a pretty decent lead after this. Yep. Pit exit is a little bit of a slower corner. Going to come out side by side, less than a second between them. Andreo cuts to the lead. So we also see Merrick in with 1% fuel. He's going to put on some fresh softs, no doubt. Andreo parking it on the apex of turn 3. Trying to slow down his Deltone as much as possible. If I were Andreo, I'd try to back Deltone up as much as possible to try and get G into this battle as well. Andreo with a little bit of a twitch out of turn 4. Let's hop on board with the Nexus car as he chases down P1. Saw both cars a little wide out of turn 10 and turn 1. Didn't really slow them down all that much though. Deltone with a huge lunge up the inside. He's going to have a little bit of a twitch at the exit of turn 3. It's going to give Andreo just a little bit of breathing room, not much though. The gap is still less than a second. However, Deltone is out of a slipstream. Slipstream starts to take massive effect about 6/10ths back in Gran Turismo 7. And that's where the gap sits, coming through to finish the second sector of lap 29. Andreo taking a massively defensive line down towards turn 1. Deltone in that slipstream. Is he going to get close enough for a move up the inside into turn 3? Not quite. Just misses the apex by a little bit. Deltone flashing the lights, trying to get in the head of Andreo, force a mistake. Deltone showing his nose, trying to make himself big in the mirrors. Andreo with a little bit of a twitch. Oof, big slice from Andreo. He's going to be a little bit wide through 5, or excuse me, 6. It's going to allow Deltone to slip through for now into turn 7. Andreo going to try and come back into the final 2 corners. This is an absolutely massive gap for the lead. As you see, Aladdin has had a great recovery drive back up to P7. Deltone slowly slipping away, trying to eke out that gap. Take a look down our timing tower to see where everyone is. Feel definitely spread out. Deltone with a massive personal improvement. His fastest lap of the race so far. Just about a 10th off of the purple lap. Gap is now 2 seconds and climbing for Deltone. Trying to reestablish himself as a championship contender. He's getting hit with that penalty. Another penalty for track limits for Deltone. I don't think that's going to cost him the position, but it is going to cost him a little bit of time at the end of this lap as we start 10 laps to go. There's a pretty quick tailwind into turn 3. Doesn't seem to be affecting Deltone though, as he's catching up P12 to try and put a second lap on him. Deltone serving that penalty. That gap's going to come under 2 seconds. Absolutely scorching pace from the Italian today. We have 9 laps to go in this race. Crashman now getting those blue flags from Deltone. Let's see if Deltone can use this traffic smartly. I believe it's going to be close enough. Crashman's going to dive out of the way of Andreos. Hopefully soon. There's Crashman out of the way of Andreo. But that damage is done. The gap is about 2.5 seconds. It definitely looks like Deltone's race to lose. Deltone's heart rate has got to be climbing with every single lap. Just trying to keep his head down, trying to focus, making sure no spins, no mistakes. Trying to keep his pace in these tires. Gap is now over 3 seconds. As we see Dotone catching up to the Frenchman, or excuse me, the Irishman. Just under 6 laps to go here at the Red Bull Ring for the International Sim Racing Series Round 6 of the summer season. Blue flags out for Bob Swift. Bob's gonna have to dive out of the way, as he does for the leader. It did cost Deltone just a little bit of time. Let's take a look in with our admin. Leading just about a 3-second gap as well to the cars behind him. As we see Intensivo and Alden hopefully start battling here soon. Alden does, however, have a penalty. You see we had momentary yellow flags just before turn 3. Whoa, what is going on here? Whoa! A little bit of argy-bargy between P4 and a lapped car. Both serving penalties. Notone staring down his first win of the season. He has come close. He's been second once. Looking to finally get back to the top step of the podium. As I believe we approach just about the halfway point of the season. Notone now on the penultimate lap with almost a 5-second gap. He's going to be begging, hoping that this lapped car doesn't give him too much trouble. He finally gets past that lapped car thanks to the penalty. Notone runs really wide out of turn 9. He might get a penalty for that. But he doesn't care. He is going to start the final lap of the Austrian 180 here at the Red Bull Ring. He has 9 corners to go. He is a 5-second gap behind. He is tuning those mirrors out of his vision, not caring about anything going on behind his Porsche. As we see a car diving into the pit lane. Okay. Through turn 4, another lapped car in his way. It's Dumont. He's not the nicest of lapped traffic. Notone is going to try. Oh, Dumont gets out of the way. Brilliant stuff. Through 7, through 8. Notone 2 corners to go. He rounds turn 9 for the final time. Is wide, cuts through turn 10. It has been a very rough start to the season for the Italian, but he's going to cross the line first to take his first win of the season. Andrea going to be right there with him, as well as Gabachoi and Dumont to finish out their final laps. Chi finishing out on the bottom step of the podium. Good result for both Andrea and G. Renati and his Mercedes going to come home P4. Then we have Dokuno trying to get past his lapped car, being a little bit aggressive. He's going to come home P5. And Tensevo is around out of the final corner. He misses out of P6 on the final turn. It's going to allow Alden to finish right in front of him. And Tensevo going to come home in P7 in front of the home crowd. And Merrick's going to be our last car across the line to cut the beam. Never mind. Merrick's going to come home P8. Crashman's going to be our final car to cross the beam. Takes the checkered flag. He's going to be promoted a position due to a penalty for Bob Swift. Absolutely incredible race from Deltone, up from 4th position to 1st to take his first win of the season. Let's take a look at your final classifications for the International Sim Racing Series Austrian 180 at the Red Bull Ring. Round 6 of the summer season, we have Deltone taking his first win of the season. Podium finished out by Andreo in G. We have Bernardi just off of the podium in the first of the 3 Mercedes. Dokuno following another, 12 seconds behind. Alden managing to just slip past Intensivo after Intensivo made a mistake out of the final corner on the final lap. Even with that penalty, he's going to stick it in P6. Intensivo in front of the home crowd, coming home in 7th again after that spin out of turn 10. Finishing out the first page, the final of the 3 Mercedes Merit coming home in P8. Second page is all of our lapped cars. Gabachoi is going to come home a lap off of the lead with that 1 second penalty to add insult to injury. Last of the Porsches is Dumont, the American, 2 laps down. And then we have Crashman as well, 2 laps down in the Ferrari 296. Then Bob Swift in his debut race in the Nissan GTR Nismo GT3, 2 laps down with a 1 minute penalty. Came home across the line in P11, but that 1 minute penalty is going to demote him down to P12. That was a pretty exciting race, if I do say so myself. Thank you all so much for joining. Next time out, we'll be at Spa-Francorchamps for what is forecasted to be a very rainy race as we approach halfway through the 2026 summer season. My thanks to the admin team, the entire admin team. We have Dokuno, who runs the series itself, of course, hosting the lobbies and as a steward. We have Jura, however you pronounce your name. My apologies if I don't get it right. We have Amber, as well as Fabio, our reigning champion, who is also currently on the admin team. My thanks to all the drivers for participating today, being very clean, giving us a fun and exciting race. And of course, my thanks to all you joining live or after the fact with the VOD that will be posted as soon as this stream ends. With that being said, my name is Jack Plays. I will see you all in Spa-Francorchamps next week.